Hello, my name is Alexandra Corey, and I'm a third-year PhD student in the Department of French at Trinity College Dublin. And today I'm going to discuss a couple of the secondary sources that I am using in my thesis. But first, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the Archives Départementales de la Haute-Savoie for their bursary, which has facilitated access to these texts that I will discuss in the presentation today. The members of the ADHS and the Académie Fleury-Montaigne have been models of guidance and hospitality, particularly when I visited the archives in Annecy in the summer of 2019, where I was graciously met by various members of the Académie. I sincerely look forward to my return. My doctoral thesis focuses on establishing a critical edition of the poetry of Emmanuel-Philibert de Pingon, who lived from 1525 to 1582. He was a poet at the court of Savoy and a key figure in the political, religious, and cultural landscape of the duchy in the 16th century. Pingon also held important positions as lawyer at the French Parliament of Chambéry, state councillor, and president of the Conseil de Genevois in Annecy. My thesis includes a biography of his life, which is relevant to the Duke, Duchess, and Prince at the court of Savoy, amongst other well-known figures at the court of France, for example, Michel de l'Hôpital, Jacques de Nemours, and Nostradamus. My analysis of his life and the study of his verse reflects the function of political verse in the early modern period and the importance of reading it in relation to the socio-political context in which Pingon was operating. In the light of Pingon's significance, my thesis aims to produce the first edition of his poetical works and to provide literary analysis which clarifies the sources and influences, as well as to provide his first biography. The biography is based in Pingon's memoir, Hic Vita Mea, as well as information gathered from the writings of his contemporaries and materials conserved primarily in the archives in Annecy, Chambéry, and Turin. Today I will discuss two texts held at the archives in Annecy, a copy of Pingon's memoir, 7J 2154, and a livre d'oraison, 7J 1168, attributed to Emmanuel-Philibert's father, Louis II, in 1500. This notebook contains scattered information regarding the Pingon family, as well as various excerpts of poetry, and according to the archival information, it was kept within these dates, so from 1500 to 1643. There is a lot to say about this livre d'oraison, however, so I want to point out that we will come back to this later in the presentation, but for now, his memoir. The title of Pingon's memoir, Hic Vita Mea, can be roughly translated as This is My Life. It narrates his life between the ages of 4 to 41 years old, from 1529 to 1566. In his memoir, Pingon acknowledges such political events as the Battle of Saint-Quentin in 1557, during which Duke Emmanuel-Philibert of Savoy defeated the French forces, an act which eventually led to the liberation of Savoy from French occupation. Pingon also enumerates his various encounters with figures at the courts of both France and Savoy. There are 4 copies of the memoir. 3 are in Latin and 1 is in French. In my work on his biography, I have referred primarily to the version in French, which is held at the Biblioteca Reale in Turin. It is important to consider the similarities and differences among each of these copies, though. 3 of the 4 copies of Pingon's memoir are held in Turin, and none have been printed. The 4th copy is written in the hand of Jean-François de Pingon, a descendant who lived a full century later, from 1637 to 1675. This is the copy that I will discuss today, and it is held at the archives in Annecy under the name 7J 2154. There are many differences between 7J 2154 in Annecy and those in Turin, including the marginalia and details of design, so for the sake of time, I'm going to focus on just a few key differences. The front page has a symbol of a deer with the words Soli Deo Gloria, or Glory to God alone. The coat of arms resembles the Pingon family crest. As you can see here, there is no indication of a deer in Forat's illustration of the Pingon family heraldry, so one wonders why it appears here in this copy of the Hic Vita Mea. It turns out that this is the heraldry and motto of a livery company that likely provided the vellum, called the Worshipful Company of Leather Sellers, established in 1444 in London. So you can see here a combination of the Pingon heraldry and that of the leather company, with the deer above. We can also find a publisher's mark on the first page, curvata resurgo, or curved I straighten up. It matches the printer's mark, or in this case the publisher's mark, of Augustin Courbet, who worked in the mid-17th century. This mark indicates that Courbet was almost certainly the publisher. Pingon's descendant Jean-François is mentioned by 19th century historian Amédée de Forat in his Armorial, which outlines the Pingon family tree. Forat states Jean-François, Lord of Druines, second son and co-inheritor of his father's estate, died without children before his brother François, buried on the 15th of May, 1675, aged about 38. Forat provides no mention, however, of Victor Amédée de Pingon, the man who lent Jean-François this copy of the memoir, although perhaps it can be assumed from the context and the Pingon name that he is also a descendant of Emmanuel-Philibert de Pingon. According to the archival note on the cover page, Victor Amédée de Pingon de la Motte lent Jean-François an original copy of the Hic Vitae Mea. It is not clear, however, which of the two original Latin copies he provided. Jean-François has provided a note. J'ai copié cette vie sur un livre écrit à la main, moi, prêté par Monsieur de Pingon de la Motte, or I have transcribed this memoir from a manuscript lent to me by Monsieur de Pingon de la Motte. 7J 2154 contains unique marginalia, but in many cases it contains what at first appears to be unique marginalia, but turns out to be a continuation of the original text that has been decentered. For example, on page 14, there appears to be marginalia on the side, but upon a closer look we can see that the language actually matches that of the original text. On page 15 we find a note in Latin that says, "What was originally joined here regarding the mother has been removed by me." Here was the absent page. This is interesting because upon first glance it might appear to be a unique scribal comment. Perhaps Jean-François made the decision to remove this page himself. However, when we take a look at the French version, attributed to Pingon's hand, we find a similar comment. Il manque un feuillet dans l'original, or a page is missing from the original. When we take a look at one of the two Latin versions held in Turin, manuscript 9526, we find another Latin note that says, "What was joined here originally regarding the mother has been removed by me," and then a unique scribal comment in Italian that says, "Qui manca un foglio che il 15." Although there is no indication of what the number 15 refers to. When we take a look at the other Latin manuscript in Turin, written in Pingon's hand, manuscript 92-1, it states in Latin, "Missing here is an autographed page, one of two complete pages, as well as 32 lines, in which manner the series appeared to the mother, her son requesting that she let him leave for Italy to attend university there." Pingon indeed attended university in Italy, the University of Padua. The fact that the autographed Latin version in Turin, 92-1, contains the longer, more detailed comment regarding the missing page leads one to think that it could well be the original copy. Such marginalia in the Annecy copy are therefore significant to an understanding of Pingon's life, as they provide insight into each of the other copies of Pingon's autobiography. The designs at the front also provide insight into the publishing company, the source of vellum, and the lineage of the Pingon family, with Jean-François as scribe. I will now discuss the Livre de Raison, 7J 1168. It is a notebook filled with receipts, prose, and even poetry. It is attributed to Louis II de Pingon, the father of Emmanuel-Philibert. According to Forat, Louis II de Pingon, bourgeois of Chambéry, and from 1522, secretary of the Duke of Savoy, died on the 6th of April, 1551. On the front cover, one can find a design which resembles a coat of arms, in which half of the coat of arms shows the heraldry of the Pingon family crest, and the other half is scratched out. One can find the word spes mea, which means my hope in Latin. The initials D and S are also written, although I'm not entirely certain what they stand for. We can find the year 1500 beneath. On the cover page, however, in the archivist's hand, a range of dates is written, 1500 to 1643, 12 March. It appears that the notebook was used for generations, which begs the question of which other names, in fact, contributed to it. There is only one name attributed to it, Louis II de Pingon. One can find dates from the 17th century within the Livre de Raison. For example, this excerpt which mentions the date 1641. This appears to be a list of purchases, perhaps from the Abbey Saint-Évroult Notre-Dame-du-Bois, perhaps from the monks there. This is purely a guess, though, because I do not know what, I assume that this is what Dame du Bois refers to here, but I do not know. You can see items such as soie bleue, blue silk, or un paire de souliers, a pair of shoes, for the cost of 22 florins and 6 florins. So you have rather mundane daily lists of purchases like this throughout the Livre de Raison. Then you also have a couple of drawings, so it is likely that Emmanuel-Philibert de Pingon actually contributed to his father's Livre de Raison, particularly as it is recorded to have been kept for generations, because one can find what appears to be his handwriting throughout, as well as the drawing on the first page, which also resembles the style of the designs that Emmanuel-Philibert de Pingon drew in his Antiquitatum Romanorum, which is a travel journal of Greek and Roman tombstones across Italy and Savoy. There are at least two distinctive styles of handwriting throughout, although names are not attributed to either. One is preceded by an archivist's note, which you can see here, which reads that the manuscript kept by the clergyman of Montenay-en-Born, retrieved by the clergyman of Marioz on 17th of July, 1931. So both Montenay-en-Born and Marioz are communes in the Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region and Haute-Savoie near Annecy. The other can be found, for example, in this poem, which appears to have an enclosed rhyme scheme, or at least for the first stanza with A, B, B, A, although some of the words are illegible, so it is hard to tell. I have attempted a brief transcription and translation of the first two stanzas here. This is simultaneously both a rather encouraging and disappointing discovery with regard to my critical edition, because while I would have incorporated this poem into my edition had it been clearly in the hand of Emmanuel-Philibert de Pingon, I cannot attribute this poem either to Emmanuel-Philibert de Pingon or to his father, Louis II, because of the absence of names among the apparent contributions over the course of a century. Because it is impossible to attribute either an author or a date to this poem, it would be difficult to incorporate it into a critical edition which centers upon the work of one author. Despite the unanswered questions that these texts engender, each sheds light on Emmanuel-Philibert de Pingon's lineage, both with regard to his predecessors and his descendants. Each text also provides insight into the methods of preservation of the Pingon family history. When conducting research of any kind, it is important to point up questions which may not have obvious answers, at least initially, because, simply put, one discovery leads to another and facilitates a clear idea of the direction in which future research may lead. I want to thank once again les Archives Départementales de la Haute-Savoie for the bursary, and I hope to return as soon as the global health situation allows. Thank you.